This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I got a surf edition of the Playbook. Alex Schulze, he is the co-founder and CEO of 4Ocean, and he is truly a compassionate capitalism. He doesn't seem like he's old enough or experienced enough to have the wisdom that he does, but welcome to the Playbook, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, David. I appreciate it.
I always say you're wise beyond your years because as a capitalist myself, it took me like 2 lifetimes before I understood how I could make a major impact in society while still, creating revenue and having a business and being able to balance those two things and also inspire people by doing those two things. For you, obviously surfing's probably been a major part of your life. And to be able to utilize that in a manner to not only have a business, but to help so many people is extraordinary. Tell me exactly how that journey started, where you made the transition from, because there's millions of kids that surf, from, taking a surf trip to Bali or wherever to, figuring, hey, maybe I have a business, and then taking it to the next, what I call the empty mile. Hey, not only can I have a business, but I think I can truly impact the world.
Yeah, I think that, it all started when I was younger, as well as my business partner, Andrew. We both have grown up around the ocean. We're both licensed captains. We've grown up surfing, fishing, diving. I mean, I grew up on a small island on the west coast of Florida, and it's just the ocean has been my lifestyle. Literally growing up on the water, spending all my free time there, and just growing up, both Andrew and I have both been very entrepreneurial. I used to have lemonade stands on the corner when I was young. I was doing, car washes. I was cutting lawns. I was, you name it. I was doing whatever I could, and just always trying to, be entrepreneurial. And the same thing with Andrew. And we went to FAU here in Boca Raton on the southeast coast of Florida. And, it was there that we spent most of our time, when we're not in class, out on the ocean, and realizing that we always wanted to start a business around what we're passionate about, and that's the ocean. And it wasn't until going over to Bali, Indonesia, which is one of the most amazing destinations from a surf perspective, that we saw crazy amounts of plastic. There's a beach there that's it's called Kuta Beach, and it's a pretty popular tourist destination for people to fly into there. And when we saw the amount of plastic on those beaches, it was mind blowing. I mean, it was, every single wave that was washing up, there was more and more plastic. There was wrappers, bottles. There's a lot of clear cups and single-use plastic. And it covered the entire beach. And it was literally, almost like you're walking through just massive piles of plastic. And what blew us away was there's so many people. There are thousands of people enjoying the beach there. And that's where we wanted to try and look at, how can we create a business model to clean up this waste, clean up all this plastic on these coastlines. And that's what led us to the idea for 4Ocean and to start the business and start 4Ocean.
And, it sounds romantic and it sounds inspirational. And I coach so many different entrepreneurs and have the entrepreneur shows and podcasts and everything. But there is a transition from a dream, a passionate purpose into actually executing on a business. And, as you guys were young entrepreneurs, I'm sure you had plenty of lessons learned, but how do you advise, passionate entrepreneurs to take their passion and figure out quantitatively how to build a profitable business from that?
I think the access to information and the access to the platforms that are out there nowadays, you really need to be able to take advantage of them. When we first, you hit the nail on the head that it's a dream. Going from a dream and turning it into a business are two completely different things. Everyone has great ideas. It's just a matter of being able to execute on them. And, you have to be ready to work incredibly hard and try and do what it takes from start to finish to get that idea launched. And I think that with the access to information to try and understand, how do you start an e-commerce company? How do you file and file for a company overall and start a bank account? And, what is marketing, operations, fulfillment, shipping? I mean, getting, a product development. There's all sorts of things that you have to be prepared to just go the extra mile. And there's access to all this type of information now on the internet. I mean, for right now, podcasts are an amazing resource that helped me out tremendously. I mean, I listened to a ton of podcasts starting out and building the business to just learn, how did other entrepreneurs do it? What did they do starting out? And what were the big steps that they took? And I think that, just being ready to work incredibly hard and put in a lot of sleepless nights, and make the necessary sacrifices to get that dream off the ground, you really can push forward and turn that dream into a business.
And for you, you did it with one of your best friends, which is also in itself a great pleasure, but also, once again, extremely challenging. And I don't want to underplay or undertone how difficult it is to launch a passionate, purposeful, profitable business, but then to do it with your best friend as well. Where have the challenges been in that relationship as far as building, growing, and expanding your business?
The relationship with Andrew and I, it's actually been amazing. I mean, we've worked together so well over the past few years, and without a doubt, I mean, it's basically, it's a relationship. A lot of people call it as, your business partner is essentially like your marriage partner. It's you spend more time with them than you do with friends and family, and I think that we've done a tremendous job at growing the business together. And if there was anything that's just been tough, it's just a matter of maintaining that level of communication. If there's something on your mind, always speak your mind and just say, hey, you got a minute? I got something on my mind I want to talk about. And I mean, we've literally had zero like big fallouts. We've never had any big things that are tiffs. I mean, obviously we've had, disagreements that we work through and always and come to a solution, but we've never had any issues. We've done a great job growing the business, and I got to tell you, it's been an absolute dream being able to have one of your best friends there to go through the struggles, the triumphs. I mean, going through the ups and downs. It's been incredibly helpful, having your buddy right there, one of your best friends to work through those things. And I mean, we've traveled the world. We've been to some of the craziest places. We've literally been to and seen some amazing stuff, all for this business and all for 4Ocean. And it's just been an awesome journey.
It is so awesome. One of the things that I have found in long-term relationships is that we live a bunch of different snapshots. And, when we have these long-term relationships, sometimes people fall into looking back on a snapshot of you when you were 11 years old or 17 years old, and bringing up or putting I think intention into the wrong snapshots in our lives, the wrong lessons of our lives. Have you guys strayed away or communicated any of that aspect? I know my business partner and I, Hall of Fame quarterback, have traveled the entire world, crazy experiences, the same thing, raised millions of dollars for charity. And yet every once in a while in a frustrating situation, there's a snapshot of, something that happened 15 years ago, or, for us, that you're like, whoa. Like, yes, I made that mistake. It's kind of like your wife telling you, remember when you did this? And I was like, yeah, I remember. It was 23 years ago. How do you remember? Do you guys have any of those circumstances that arise ever?
I really don't think we do. We tend to not really dwell in the past. And, one thing that we've been incredibly good with is, when you're frustrated and you have those issues, you put them on the table. They're difficult conversations to have. They can be difficult and you want to push them off. You really don't want to do them. And, but at the end of the day, just putting the time there and putting the effort and the energy into the relationship to say, to speak your mind and be very honest and open. It literally helps out so much in the long run, because the second you start bottling up that one thing, and then that turns into another and then another and another, and then the next thing you get incredibly frustrated and you end up kind of snapping on something small. It's counterproductive. So I think the communication aspect and really just trying to stay focused on the tasks at hand and growing the business and doing what we do best is the most important thing. And just try not to dwell on the things in the past. Those are, like you said, they can be a real pain, but you just do what you can to avoid that.
Well, you seem so wise beyond your years, and obviously communication is a capability that both you and your partner have. I can tell just from the answers that you have. I'm going to get a little bit granular, just because I don't get the opportunity for younger entrepreneurs with such kind of heightened wisdom of how, and it's a question people would ask of me, but how do you, when you have a difficult topic, you talk and you keep on saying, hey, you got to communicate and bring it to the table, illuminate these issues. I believe there's certain transition statements that we have aggregated and learned throughout the years that allow us to bring up a subject that's uncomfortable.
Yep.
So I'd love for you to share with everyone, since this is a playbook to success and we
Yep.
don't get this opportunity to, if we just role play for a second, like how do you approach a shove? Like, like, let's say that, I did something that really pissed you off, or I lost millions of dollars for us, and you got to approach it, or, you found out like a little lie is turned into a big lie, or there's this uncomfortable situation. What transitional statement would you use to bring it up to me?
So, I think it really comes down to psychology in a sense, right? It all comes down to timing and how you frame up a conversation. And there's timing that's involved that heavily influences, when is the right time to bring up the conversation? Obviously there's no productive conversations that come out when people are incredibly frustrated or worked up, right? So I think for me, anytime that we've ever had an issue, I might wait till the next day. I might wait till the next morning. I might wait till, we've both had our coffee, we're relaxed, and we're in a good vibe, and you can just essentially feel the energy, with an individual. And I think at that point in time, the transition is just, to keep it light, to keep it not too serious, and keep it as far as, hey, I'm really pissed off about this, but rather like, hey, listen, I just want to talk about something that's been going through my mind, and, just wanted to put it on the table and see what your thoughts are. And I think that that's been the most productive thing, because when both individuals are frustrated and are fired up, it's explosive. And I think that for Andrew and I, it's been fantastic to just, we give each other our space, we cool off and work through things, and just come back with a level-headed approach. And I think that the transitional statement is essentially that, like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about something that I've been thinking about.
I love that. And I appreciate you. I don't get as granular and get that advice for people. And, moreover, there's the Xanders had taught in their book, right? Rule number 6, which I think you and your partner both understand greatly, which is a surfer motto as well, which is don't take yourself so goddamn seriously.
Yeah.
And you seem both to have that. And, a quick question too, one of the things that I've had to practice over the last 35 years is something I call stop, drop, and roll. So regardless, whether it's my business partner, associates, consumers, there's always situations, like you said, that you're not in the right mindset. And part of surfing is not just heart set, it's mindset. And most surfers have a better perspective on things. Because of the meditative experience of surfing, you really learn to have a certain mindset. And one of the capabilities that I practice is what I call stop, drop, and roll, being able to, like you said, when you feel the energy is off, when you get frustrated, angry, separate, inferior, superior, whatever it may be, do you have mechanisms so that you don't accelerate in the wrong direction? So, let's say there's a circumstance, and not necessarily your partner, could be a girlfriend, probably more likely, but, all of a sudden everyone's saying things that they shouldn't be saying, and you're moving in the wrong trajectory. Is there a system or process or practice that you have to, because you seem like a ferocious Buddha like me, you're ferocious about staying in center, being at meditative higher frequency, and then rolling in the right trajectory. Is there some lessons that you've learned through surfing or business to stay at peace?
I think anyone that works with me, I'm a very intense guy, and I can get really fired up, and if I'm and just really passionate, not so much fired up as an angry, but more just passionate. That's kind of the term we use, is stay fired up around the office. And if you're in a sense where you're going down a path that seems kind of destructive, like, I just notice if I'm getting like really worked up, I can kind of notice it and just say, like, okay, just let me just take a minute and just take a breather and just relax for a bit, because every time that you're extremely worked up and you keep going into something, it's just counterproductive. And it's so much more productive to take a minute to stop, relax, say, what, maybe we're not going to accomplish this in this meeting, or maybe we're not going to accomplish in this conversation. But it's just the true outcome, the best outcome has always come from just coming at when both individuals have a level-headed mindset, and can kind of come in and just speak from the heart, and not, be fired up and let ego. Unfortunately, I get myself into a lot of trouble, because if ego comes into play, that's when you really get worked up. But it just helps out to just relax, chill out, take a breather, and then, maybe come back and work through it. I mean, that's really been a successful thing for me, trying to, not get too worked up into conversations. But I think, just staying passionate, staying fired up is without a doubt, important for it.
It's so cool, because I'm thinking I'm pretty intense as well, and, ferocious at times, et cetera. And I have things, being productive, accessible, and gracious in my life are so important. And time is such a an amazing thing for me to utilize it effectively. And before, filming this podcast, I wish I had a camera on me, because I had, you know, my 10-year-old wanting, because I'm working from a closet at home, right? They've shut down California again. And, you know,
Garage.
right. So it's like all these things are moving around. And then, the straw that's going to break the camel's back is one of my daughter, like, asked me for the 15th time something that she wanted to go back to college with, which isn't for like another 4 or 5 weeks. And I literally went like this. This is when it was like more than 11 minutes ago before this podcast. I literally put my head on my closet desk that I have, and I put my hands over my ears so I wouldn't have to hear her. And I put my head down so I wouldn't have to see her. And I just like literally was giving myself mantras like, this will pass. Because I knew any words that came out of my mouth to my teenage daughter would not be productive, right? Would not be what I really mean to say, because I do want to help her and I want to be able to provide, but everything's on top of you in one moment. And I just thought of you going, yeah, Alex gets it. He's doing the same thing, but I was like a 4-year-old, head down, hands over ears. All right. Last question as we're getting to it. You started as a bracelet company. Millions of pounds of plastic have been saved from our earth and our waters, especially. People are passionate and emotionally connected to your business, right? People buy on emotion for logical reasons. One of the most interesting things I think you've been able to do is, in the context of your business, I think you guys realize that you own the customer, that, you started with bracelets, but your product offering, solutions and services are far beyond any relationship with the product or the value of the product. It goes far beyond that. It's the relationship with 4Ocean, and that you own that customer. And if, someday you wanted to sell them car insurance, you probably could sell them car insurance if you could convince them of how it would save our water. What are some of the tricks that you've learned? I shouldn't even say tricks, the value that you provide to build that community, because building communities to me is the most essential part of entrepreneurship today, of freelancing, building your own business, the small business owner. It's all about, we have the capacity as small businesses to build these extraordinary communities because of the connectivity that we have, better than ever before. What have you learned about building that community that's important, of why you own your customer and able to sell them such a wide variety of things?
I think there's a gentleman named Simon Sinek who has a great quote that's, people buy why you do it, and they don't buy what you do. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that, the reason why our customers have connected so much with 4Ocean is because of the why, right? It's not the what, it's not the product that we're offering. It doesn't have, an amazing the features that are better than any other. It's because of why we exist and our mission. And trying to keep our oceans clean with the amount of plastic that's entering them every single day, and trying to build a movement and essentially make sustainability cool, and trying to work through these, these different tactics of trying to connect with consumers and get them to possibly, change their consumption habits of single-use plastics and just live a more sustainable lifestyle. I think that that's really been the number one most important thing for us, is to focus on the why. Why do we exist? And that's really been a great opportunity for us to connect with our customers, because, we focus on them. We build the relationships with them. We're trying to always, establish that long-term relationship with them, and keep them for a long-term, keep them as a long-term customer. And, it's just going above and beyond to try and connect. I mean, we have so many amazing stories that flood in every single day. I mean, I think tomorrow we're having a phone call with a group of girls that ended up raising, I believe, about $5,000 locally to buy cleanup gear to give out to, all of their friends to help clean up plastic. And like, it's little stories like that that just fire me up. And everyone is just so passionate about the 4Ocean brand and the movement, the Clean Ocean movement that we're trying to create, that I think just never missing an opportunity to connect with your customers has been one of the most important things for us, and focusing on why you exist versus what you do.
I love that. It's people buy on why, not on what. And it's ironic, because I teach people need to know what they want to do, though, in order to effectuate their why. Their why is usually to help somebody or something. And my favorite quote is, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. And what I love about 4Ocean is it makes it so easy for people to get closer to the truth, to their potential. My wife called me old for my 52nd birthday. She asked me what I wanted, and I got a plastic poker. If people don't know what that is, it's a stick with a very sharp point that you can punch through when you're, walking the dog and walking with your wife. We have a beach home, and nothing's more frustrating for me than being in a bathing suit with no pockets and seeing plastic and going, where am I going to put this? And I can't walk the dog, carry everything. So she called me an old man because I call it my good deed stick. No deed has a size connected to it. So if people want to join this community and realize that they can get closer to the truth and their own potential simply by picking up a little bit of trash, especially plastics that have half-lives of 1 billion years or something, we can all live in a better place. The earth is going to exist. This is about saving us. Right. I tell people all the time, the earth will, especially with all that plastic, it'll probably last longer, but let's have a place that actually can survive humanity. And that's what For Ocean to me is all about. And I love how clear you are about your why, but you definitely know what you're doing in order to effectuate the why. And I think that's a great distinction, and you should be proud of yourself, and especially with your relationships, not only with your partner, but with your community. And I think you'll see some great things out of these two entrepreneurs, great things out of For Ocean. We're changing the world one piece of plastic at a time. I'm creating empowerment of happiness one person at a time. And Alex, you're one of those guys for me that are empowering others to empower others to be happy. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your playbook. It's one of the most granular playbooks I got. Hopefully you're not too frustrated with me. It's like picking on a young kid, asking all these tough questions, but you did a great job. And I really thank you for joining me.
No worries, David. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And we'll have to send you out a cleanup bag, my man.
Oh yeah, go with my stick, the old man stick. That's awesome. Well, this is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.